Alright, CPL, what is up? You know, I got a little bit inspired. Today, the last couple weeks, quite a while. You know, Escalade, you tell me there's 40 seconds left. But I don't see no timer. I don't see no title. Good evening, everybody. Or morning out there if you're on the wrong side of the world. I know there's a couple people on the wrong side of the world. That's alright. But, no, I got a little inspired. I've been seeing ManShark doing a lot of heavy lifting, a lot of carrying in the CPL casting scene. And I said, you know what? Somebody needs to go ahead and give him a little bit of a break. So, I took a look around and I'm like, man, nobody's been casting tier 2. This is a travesty. So I am the hero that we all need. Unfortunately, it's not tier 0 that is still not getting love, but I trust you guys out there to go ahead and fill in that gap once in a while, alright? But let's just go ahead and have a good time. We got a couple of games on our plate today. In particular, we've got Navane, I don't know how you pronounce this. We got all of the names that are hard to pronounce right away. So it's going to be Navane and wuigukin. wuigukin, I think this is what it is. wuigukin. MaybeNextTime and Rennac. And then Hexe and Firehex. So I've seen a lot of these players play before. They're kind of well-known entities. But, I'm kind of just hoping to have a good time with this, really. And, son of a gun, I have the wrong title on here. Let's go ahead and, production quality, everybody, production quality. This is week 7, and I'm not even going to bother with the team names because it's otherwise. Yeah, SQ are a creepy motherfucker, I swear to God. Alright, let's, enough of me, enough of the scores. Let's just go ahead and get right down to business. We're going to start off with a PvP. We got Navane and wuigukin. So I'm going to get this one on the road, get the, get it unmuted for us here, I think. Got... Okay. Takes a second to get it going, but, also gotta remember all my hotkeys. How do I get the, replay bar away? Alt-Y. Okay, there we go. It's been a minute, everybody. Alright. So anyways, though, Navane up here in the bottom left and wuigukin in the top right, PvP. So this is not a matchup that I am incredibly familiar with, but it's one that I've learned enough about over time. I've seen wuigukin play before. If I recall correctly, he's pretty nice with his reavers. So that's going to be one thing that we're really going to be on the lookout for here, is just like, which one ends up, playing more of like a reaver tech. You can also go for like 2-gate super early, zealot pressure. You can go for dragoons. There's also a build that I'm not too familiar with, but I've heard tell of, called the Boneth build. That is, definitely a possibility, where it's trying to put a lot of pressure on early with like some early zealots, and then transitioning into more of a macro style build. So I know that I think it was wuigukin's opponent a couple weeks ago did that regularly, but this might honestly be a rematch of a series that I've seen previously. I might have seen these two play before, but I'm not entirely certain. There's a lot of players out there, there's a lot of names. Eventually, you just kind of lose track of what you've seen and what you haven't. Anyways, though, we've got them here on Knockout, and scouting the top left is wuigukin. They are spawned in cross positions as well. They should actually be seeing a high 5 here. Notably, we are going to have a 2-gate here out of Navane. Second gate is coming down here. We do have zealot production starting right away, so this very well could be the Boneth build with a 1-gate cyber here from wuigukin. So, big thing here is I need to put on Do Not Disturb. The big thing here, though, is that this is going to have a lot of pressure on wuigukin to defend. He's going to see he might not actually be able to break in here if this Zealot's able to hold the ramp. It's not centered right now. He's actually end scouting, which is the worst result for him right now. He's not going to see these Zealots. So this could be really, really rough for wuigukin, just because of the fact that he's not going to be able to see the 2-gate pressure right away. However, wuigukin does a great job of blocking his ramp. We've actually got Navane mining out the ramp to make it harder to block here. This is really smart stuff for how aggressive he wants to play. Pulling the Zealot out of position now. He has 3 Zealots coming across the map. You can see him on the mini-map. Is the probe going to intersect it, though? Is he going to spot these, or is it going to be the last-second alarm? Oh, no. The probe has no idea. wuigukin is completely in the dark right now. The Cyber Core is coming down. There's 1 Dragoon and 1 Zealot. How much of an intuition does he have? He's got the battery coming down to try and hold the ramp, so I think he has an idea of what's coming just from that probe having mined out the mineral on the ramp. Now 3 Zealots, they're able to get the run by thanks to the mineral being mined out, making a beeline for the mineral line. Also needs to click one of these Zealots onto the Dragoon. That should do a good job of kind of distracting and forcing it to run away, but instead just going directly for the mineral line. The drilling is okay. That's another Zealot going to go down, and the damage that Navane is able to deal here is minimal. A fantastic hold from wuigukin. Now switching over to Dragoon production, starting to go into full-time Dragoons, but is a little bit behind on, actually a little bit ahead on probe count, but they're basically even. Big thing is the standing army for Navane is going to be smaller because, again, the damage taken by wuigukin was basically nothing. So right now, wuigukin has an advantage, but it's not going to be enough of one to run across the map. They're both going to be just kind of chilling back, macroing up, and figuring out what their next play is going to be. And I think the big question here is who's going to tech, and who's going to, like, are they going to tech, expand, or gateway boom? Right now, Navane has gone for his second gateway. Or not Navane, I'm sorry, wuigukin. And the little bit of probe damage that he did take from that run-by may snowball a little bit, but I don't think it's going to be that bad. Putting out a pylon on the edge of his base, could be using that to try and sneak some tech. Also could be trying to spot for potential drops in future. But Navane is just kind of steadfast at the moment, working on Dragoon range, and has just now started his Robo. So we are going to see Reaver most likely out of him. However, ooh, we've got Templar tech over here for wuigukin. So we've got DTs coming up, and I don't see any Forge down. I don't see anything really to defend this. He needs to get this ramp crowded to stop those DTs from coming in if he wants to stay in this game for a while, until he manages to get the observers up. Instead, he's moving out to the natural. This could be really, really bad. wuigukin has a really nice timing here that's available if those DTs cross the map right as soon as they spawn. Only 1 DT, though, not going to be going too hard for it. Navane crossing the map with his army. 5 Dragoons, 2 Zealots against 5 Dragoons and 1 Zealot, but the DT's going to spot it. I wonder, he's actually backing off. He's not going to see the army coming in, but the DT up here did. No damage dealt, so he's aware of the army crossing. 1 DT's now coming back to hold. A little bit of a miss micro here with the Zealot, but the DT over here makes it into the base, is going to go for the probe line. And this is a full retreat here by Navane. Pulls back the entire army. He's losing probes left, right, and center, though. Cutting out the gas workers. This is a lot of damage this DT is getting. 10 kills. 11 kills. The Observer's finally out. Should be dying in just a moment here, but that is so many probe kills. wuigukin is so far ahead now. wuigukin also has his expansion up and running, so just in a really, really good place. Has it ahead of Navane. The armies are relatively comparable here. We've got 10 Dragoons versus 10 Dragoons. So really even overall, but economically, wuigukin is ahead. We just need to see if he's going to get... He's getting a third gateway. No robo for him yet, though, so still kind of operating just on Templar tech. Getting ground upgrades. No Storm that I've seen, but has Zealot legs coming. Meanwhile, no robo support bay for Navane. So is just going to be going very heavy on Dragoons. May be able to transition into Reaver at some point, but not doing so yet. Yeah, both these guys really content to just sit back, and I think that's really good for wuigukin, considering just how far ahead he is on workers. Like, his economy is booming right now. He could honestly feel safe taking a third if he wanted to, but that would be a very poor decision right now with the army crossing the map and not necessarily having anything to spot this with. Another DT is in position to backstab and is moving in, potentially? No, okay. I saw it moving on the minimap. This is such crazy instinct. He's moving in when the army crosses the map and had no idea that the army was moving. This DT is now just starting to go ham, but unfortunately, Dragoon does come out. Does kill off the DT, but gets a couple more probe kills. 15 probes up now for wuigukin. Trying to move uphill. This is a really, really rough spot to move into. Couple of Zealots out of position. Nice angle, though, here for the Dragoons from wuigukin. Both them having all of the Dragoons firing. No upgrades yet. Unfortunately, wuigukin's +1 timing is almost done, but he's running in before that, so he's missing out on so much damage. However, it looks like it's still working out for him pretty well. Trying to get some hit and run to chase down some extra damage. Might be able to get a couple more shots with these Dragoons chasing. That's 4 on 1. Really good odds there. And these Zealots still continuing to chase. With legs, they do outspeed the Dragoons, but Brood War's pathing is a little bit more of a hindrance in this case. Still coming back to the natural now. A lot of Dragoons waiting here to reinforce. This is going to be slightly in favor of Navane, especially considering the trench there that makes it so hard for the Dragoons to move into position and shoot. So I like the position to take the high ground here. wuigukin is floating a lot of minerals. He's also starting to try and bring some High Templar to bear. He's got Storm has already finished. So the tech advantage is there definitely for wuigukin. The army advantage is looking a little bit better here, though, for Navane. But for how long? There's 5 gateways up now for wuigukin. He's got the upgrade advantage. He's got more tech. He's got the Templars here. Navane has got to try and reach into his bag of tricks and pull out a rabbit. But is he a magician? We're gonna have to see. The supply block is there. This could be fortuitous if he can... Oh my lord, those storms! A lot of damage being dealt. Not too many kills just yet, and there's not a lot of Dragoons for wuigukin. But that storm, if nothing else, just dealt so much damage. Brings down so many shields, almost killed off the Observer. And we've got a couple of really low health Dragoons here. There's 2 more storms available, as well as a handful of Dragoons. If wuigukin can just stage a good attack, he can do a lot of damage here, but there are so many Dragoons crowding the natural of Navane. The only problem is that it's hard for all of them to get in position to fire if you're only shooting at Dragoons. So these Zealots, when they run in, they're going to take every single Dragoon shot, but the Dragoons, when they fire, are not going to take that many. Another nice storm, bringing down a little bit, distributing a lot of damage across the entire army here. But it does take 2 storms to kill off a single Dragoon, and that Archon morph is a little bit ambitious. So again, just so many Dragoons here for Navane. There's basically just so much health in this army right now that makes it so hard to take down. So wuigukin's actually just going to back off, going to try and secure his own third and say, alright, you know what? I can't crack your natural. I don't know what you've got behind there. You might be trying to drop or something like that. I'm gonna consolidate all of my forces and try and take a third and build a bigger economic advantage on you, because he had an eco advantage before, but at this point he doesn't know if that's equalized. So I do like this idea. I like the DT here as well. wuigukin has no detection. He does have the observer though. Is he going to make one? DT blocked by the Zealots, but it's gonna get in there and do so much. Oh my god, the observer doesn't see it. Is he gonna listen for it? Oh my god, it has 1 armor and there's no attack upgrade. That means it takes 2 shots. He's getting the notification. This is getting the opportunity for wuigukin to move his probes away. He knows now that he has to bring his army back, but instead he's moving forward. Just a couple of Zealots. I love the split attention here. Just using the Zealots to take out the DT and also moving forward at the same time. Really, really smart stuff here from wuigukin. Coming across a bridge. This is a really tough position for both armies to be in. I do like Navane's decision to back off. Not a great storm here. Trying to charge up the ramp. This could be a huge arc of Zealots here. Just, oh my lord, the storms, the Zealots making connections with storm. I think wuigukin's got this. The Zealots doing just a ton of damage. Huge arc, just massive, massive destruction. The tech advantage, the army advantage, and finding that connection there was huge for wuigukin, and that's gonna be game 1 in favor of big naturals. Let's go ahead and update the scoreboard real quick like. We already got it updated on the in-game one, but let's do it out here too. wuigukin going up 1-0 against Navane. Navane's another caster here in CPL as well. He's another person who likes to be part of the peanut gallery. So let's see what game 2 is going to be looking like. Right after these messages. And this will be on Radeon, I believe. Oh. Sorry, trying to get the scoreboard updated, trying to get the... there's a lot of things for one person to do. So let's take a look at what colors they got naturally. Ooh, we got the navy blue, the dark blue for Navane, but that would make it impossible to read his name. And the yellow, Protoss yellow, very, very standard stuff, very stylish for wuigukin. But let's leave him in red and blue. Alright, so, you know, early on, I did like Navane's aggression with the Zealots, but even more than that, I really liked the way that wuigukin defended. And I really liked the way that he just kind of played very calmly the entire way through, didn't panic at anything, even when there were Zealots in, wuigukin had the DTs in his base, he just keeps moving forward and just has the minimal effort required to deal with it. Navane, on the other hand, really had a hard time with the early DTs, and I feel like that was what really snowballed into giving wuigukin that win. Yeah, Strawberry, it's staged. How about that? We got ourselves a little bit of PvP action. This is the only mirror of the night, though, thankfully. I think Protoss versus Protoss is probably my favorite mirror matchup, especially for casting, but at the same time, mirror matchups in this game just don't give me, they do not spark joy for me most of the time. Alright, so we've got the quick gas here for Navane, and wuigukin scouts it, first location, so he's going to know that this is extremely likely to be one gate cyber. Also doesn't see a second gateway, so the odds are very much in his favor. On the other hand here, we also have a one gate cyber from wuigukin, but it is going to be a later gas. So of note is I think the cyber here is a little bit faster. Yes, the cyber is a little bit faster. And I think the difference between this is that Navane is going to be going for range before Dragoon, and I think wuigukin is going for Dragoon before range, but I could be wrong on that. The gas counts just kind of add up that way. So, cheeky little pylon in here for Navane. Oh, no, I'm sorry, that is one of wuigukin's. I thought that was a Navane pylon. Oh, shoot, I'm sorry. I didn't get rid of the display. Both of them just chasing around the scout probes. Very, very, very standard stuff. But yeah, this is exactly what I said. So the range is a little bit earlier here for Navane, but the Dragoon is a little bit earlier here for wuigukin. Ultimately, this is not a substantial difference, but the one thing that may be consequential is the first Dragoon may be able to drive away the probe easier, but instead he's actually moving across the map. Oh, he's already got the Zealot here in the base as well, so really trying to be aggressive with this 1-1 opener, has the probe there as well to help. Gonna lose both the Zealot and the probe, really just kind of going even, but you have to take into consideration that Navane has one probe in the enemy base as well, so wuigukin is effectively one mining probe ahead. And recognizing that the army is there, this was not like a super greedy build out of wuigukin, or out of Navane. wuigukin's actually going to pull this Dragoon back and probably use it to try to chase down this probe that is currently hiding behind the minimap. So, Navane here is going for the one-gate robo, and yeah, that probe is no longer for this world, whereas we have two-gate robo coming out here for wuigukin. So a slightly faster robo for Navane. Also taking into consideration that the faster gateway here for wuigukin is going to slightly give him like a production advantage for a very brief period of time, but it's not a huge advantage. And ooh, the third gateway here kind of makes this almost, it's not all in, but he's able to have the full-on, this is like full saturation production with 3 gateways and robo on one base. Whereas with 2 gates and a robo, you can still take the expansion while holding production. So I feel like Navane is holding out for the possibility of going for like an all-in, whereas wuigukin is committing to the idea of, I'm gonna be expanding this game. It doesn't mean that Navane can't like stop production, but it does mean that he has the capability of going full bore on Dragoons and just trying to end the game with nothing but Dragoon count. Now, wuigukin's going for a shuttle, so he might be trying to bring, like, Zealots or a Dragoon drop into the back of the base, maybe even backstab, because we did see how good wuigukin was last game at paying attention to when the opponent's moving out and just having this extremely serendipitous timing. Additionally, we could see a robotic support bay with the shuttle, although we don't have one out yet, and we could be getting Reavers, but we don't have the tech building out there just yet. So the shuttle could be recycled for that same idea. Navane moving out onto the map. As the Observer following as well, we have 7 Dragoons and a Zealot against 8 Dragoons. So this will go slightly in the favor of wuigukin, but ooh, nice pick off on the Observer. Now, the other problem, though, is that Navane has to go uphill, and anyone who knows Brood War knows that is a tall order. Poking in, actually, with the Zealot, that is not a strongly advised move, in my opinion. I feel like that is extremely ambitious. I kind of want Navane to just park everything right at this choke point and take his own expansion right now. Like, maybe you can line up in an arc over here to try and prevent the expansion from going down for wuigukin, but you cannot go up that hill. And it is definitely time to take the expansion. That's exactly what he's doing. The Observer pressing forward here, and this is, alright, this is what Navane's doing. He's saying, alright, I'm going to make a big arc. You're not allowed to take your natural, but I'm not going to put any pressure on your ramp because I know that you can hold this. So wuigukin is, Navane is shooting for the economic advantage, but we do have the Robo support bay, and we do have a shuttle on the map here, and there's no vision of that for Navane. So it means that this Reaver here has a lot of potential to go around and put on a pretty big hurtin' because all of Navane's army is up here. There's a couple of Dragoons at home, but that's not going to stop a shuttle. Additionally, there is a probe on the map. wuigukin could get really cheeky, take a base in the opposite corner. I think he might actually be doing that. Also has the Reaver ready, but right now I think he's really focused on getting this, oh my god, yeah, he's gonna take a hidden base in the top left, and Navane's gonna have no idea about it. 2 Reavers ready for the drop. Oh my god. I think Navane sees it? Yes, he knows about the drop that's ready. Sees the 2 Reavers loading up, in fact. Is the shuttle gonna be running right across all of these Dragoons? Oh, this could be... yeah, backing off. Has to back off. Trying to come down the ramp. This is a really, really, really tenuous position for Navane now. Taking a bit of damage onto these Dragoons. Has to back off. This is a big army for wuigukin. But if he can get back to his natural, then maybe there's a good shot. Scouting out the hidden expansion with 1 scouting Dragoon. Trying to take the advantage, or take the fight here. wuigukin, though, still has a bigger army. It's just this concave is actually really, really nice for Navane. He's having so many Dragoons fight, but the problem is that these guys up here in the north are just getting picked off. However, this is going to force wuigukin to back off. And yeah, the drop in the natural, those 2 Reavers that we saw earlier. wuigukin is so good at this multi-prong stuff. He was good with the Dark Templar and just attacking when there's move-outs. He's good with these Reaver drops. And now the Reavers are back here to just put a melting onto the Dragoons. He doesn't even need to really micro with the shuttle, but he's going to do it anyways. Look at the blue goo! Big damage out of wuigukin. The supply is going his way. The worker count is almost going his way. When you think about the fact that he's disadvantaged in worker count even, wuigukin is that much further ahead in army. He's got the Reavers, which gives him the tech advantage, and now the drop in the natural again. Continuing to force these probes away, equalizing the worker count. wuigukin is a terror. Now coming in with the Dragoons, this multi-prong setup. Where are you going to try and defend, Navane? If you defend the front, the Reavers will be there. If you defend the natural, you're not going to be able to defend the front. Dropping out again. Scarabs. Not great hits. There's a flank coming in here with all of these reinforcing dragoons. Brings down one goon. Others very low health in the shuttle, but going to go into the main. Is he going to find the damage on the probe line? All the dragoons are dead for wuigukin. And unfortunately, a glitched scarab. Not going to get enough damage there. But nice hits overall. Unfortunately, I think the shuttle's going to escape. The shuttle escapes. The dragoons are here again. wuigukin takes game 2 in a commanding fashion. What can I say? I've been convinced. wuigukin putting it on the board for the big naturals. All right. So we're going to skip over MaybeNextTime in Rennac for just a moment, because I know that that is a serious series. That's going to be our capstone. That's going to be how we graduate. But we've got Hexe and Firehex. I think I caught the very, very end of this live. And frankly, I'm really excited about this. Let's go ahead and just update the scoreboard here real quick, though, before I get it going. Don't know why it's not letting me. Well, I guess we'll do that in-game, because I can't get it to behave for me at the moment. So, we've got Hexe and Firehex. And the scoreboard's going to be wrong for just a moment as we get started. Alright, bottom left, we've got Hexe. Top right, we have Firehex. And I'm going to take a moment here to get the scoreboard working for me. Alright, cool. We're on knockout. Everything is as it should. The score is wrong. Let's fix that up real quick. Alright, there we go. There we go. So, PVT. This is both the races that I don't play. But at the same time, I used to play Terran a really long time ago. And I have kind of a rough idea of how this matchup should look, where it feels just impossible for both sides at any given point in time. Hexe moving out really early with this probe. I think we're getting a proxy. We're getting center of the map play, maybe? Looking for a place to place a pylon. Knockout, you can put it in the center of the map, but instead going to put it at a third location here. Hexe, I've seen Hexe be a very, very, very cheesy player before. And yeah, we're going to set this up at the third location. Has no idea where Firehex is, but trying to think about where scouts are less likely to go. Now, typical scouting patterns on Knockout are scouting vertical first. So you'd be seeing Firehex scouting to the bottom right. But if they go in the opposite direction and scout to the left, it may go up this hill. I don't think it would, though. I think it just goes in a straight line across. So I think this is a really good location to try and do like a 2/3 proxy. So proxy 2-gate here from Hexe. Going to see it's not here. Scouting over here as well. So it's not the 2/3 proxy where you'd put it like halfway between the two bases, but it's close enough. Big thing is, though, the proxy was a little bit delayed. So it's not quite as sharp of a timing as it could be. However, Firehex doesn't know what's coming, hasn't scouted this yet, and there's 2 zealots on the way. Is Firehex end scouting? Oh no, if Firehex is end scouting, that's the worst possible scenario, because he's not going to move up the hill to see the gateways. And he is end scouting. That would work for the center of the map, but it doesn't work for this third location. This is ideal for Hexe. 2 Marines at the ramp working on the factory. The Zealots are already coming out, though, across the map. The SCV is going to miss it. The factory's going to be done right as the Zealots get there, but you still have the Vulture construction time before you can bring that to bear against the Zealots. Halting the Zealots just for a second, getting everything closer together. Spots the Zealots. Gonna try and back up. Has a decent SimCity here. Setting up a bunker as well. Now the question is, do you go after the SCVs? Do you go after the Marines? Do you try and camp the Vulture? Just going after the Marines, trying to stop the bunker from going up, getting some decent damage here. But this is definitely not game-ending. This is not crippling damage by any means. And Hexe is so far behind on workers, you really need to get a lot of damage out here with this attack. 2 more Zealots coming across, going after the Vulture, just chasing it across the map, but the bunker is going to get finished. The Zealot in the mineral line is brought down. And now 3 Zealots going to try and move uphill, but there are more Vultures available. There's a Vulture moving across the map over to Hexe's base as well, and there is nothing to defend that. This Vulture is going to go to absolute town. Meanwhile, these 3 Zealots, they've got to contend with a Vulture, they've got to contend with a bunker with 3 Marines in it, and I don't think that there's much for them to contend with. They're going to get driven away. The probes actually trying to chase down the Vulture, forcing Firehex to micro, but so far he's doing a good job of it. Down to 18 health, but 4 kills and continuing to build it up. Hasn't taken any further damage. Very, very clean micro here from Firehex, but it's eating through so much of his APM and attention. Just take a look at how high his APM is. 350 to Hexe's 150. Putting out a lot of damage here. Hexe's barely mining at all. Still continuing, not producing anything, doesn't have the money for it at this point. Hexe down to 6 probes and calls GG. Firehex defends the dirty cheese. Alright. So, game 1. Hexe unable to put a dent into Firehex. Really, I feel like this is just scouting for our team. I'm on 0 effort Zealot Rush, and I think we're playing against the big naturals this week. And I know Firehex is one that people are trying to figure out. I know wuigukin is one, so really, I'm just doing our team some service. But let's keep on going. We've still got a game 2 to see. Once again, on to Radion. 1-0 in favor of Firehex. Alright, so let's see if Hexe is going to try and play a macro game or keep up with the cheese. I did like the crispness of Firehex's build order there, where got the... I didn't see the timing of the factory, but feels like they got it pretty much dead on time. And that's a really big deal for Terrans. Like, your early game is so predicated on getting these crisp timings. I wish I knew a little bit about Protoss and Terran mining in terms of, like, what is and isn't efficient. I only really know Zerg enough to nerd out about it. So I could, you know, do the thing that casters do where you talk about anything during the first 2 minutes of a game. Where I'd just be like, yeah, my thing is mining, guys. You want to talk about nerdy shit? Let's talk about how you increase your income by 0.25%. But the big thing is here, okay, Hexe is not going to be going out and looking for a proxy, is doing the normal, logical thing of making in-base production. We're going to have a 10 gateway. This is normal. I don't want to think about how Protoss reproduce. I don't want to think about how Protoss reproduce. I don't want to think about Tom Bombadil. I don't want to think about Aaron's pickup lines. This is not the kind... Esk, I want you to understand that you in chat right now are being tasteless. And not the tasteless... Sir! Sir! You're not being the fun kind of tasteless, where it's, You're saying things in bad taste and uncouth. No, you're being tasteless as in the Artosis counterpart. That's what you're doing here. You are derailing things with inane conversation. I want you to be aware of this. I also want you to be aware that I think we're going to have a last location scout on both, but then again, Firehex also end scouted last game. So, if he end scouts here, we'll spot Hexe. Not going to spot anything that's too suspicious, though. We've got one gate Cyber. That Cyber's going to be up in the deep corner here. Trying to prevent the vultures from doing crazy things, potentially, with that position. A little bit weird. You guys in chat are wild, I swear. Alright. One Zealot coming across. We've got the right Sim City. We've got the Marines. Arby's. We've got the meats. This should be no problem as long as Firehex is paying half attention. And just like that, pulls the Marines back to the proper Sim City. Oh, I like this too. Popping out the SCV just to body block as well. Making a proper nuisance of yourself. Ooh, yeah. Good control here from Firehex, man. Keeping that Zealot and the Probe just like constantly dancing around and having a hard time getting a connection onto the Marines. Unfortunately, he lifted off the factory. I think that was just a misclick. Trying to put the machine shop down, but having driven off the Zealot and having scouted here as well. Oh my god. eBay block out of Firehex, really just saying, you know what, you're gonna be a jerk to me, I'm gonna be a jerk to you. He can cancel this at any time, run the SCV away. I like this move. Esk thinks that Hexe is never gonna expand. Doesn't seem like Hexe's kind of play. I don't see them as very much a macro player. Potentially a little bit of lag here. I'm not necessarily certain. I know that Hexe is playing from across the Atlantic. At least I know that's where they're initially from. I don't know if they actually live there. No cancel on the eBay. That's some money wasted. But Firehex, starting the command center, has the machine shop down. Okay, Hexe is in Sweden. In, like, Scandinavia in general. I wasn't necessarily certain if they were... she lives with Santa. I wasn't necessarily certain if she lived there or if it was just like a... that's where she's originally from. Mines are down, mines are out. Gets a big connection on that Dragoon. Holy moly. That's an unhappy man. He's already died once. He's looking to die again. And not voluntarily. I like how when you lay mines sometimes the vultures just do a little jig. They just hover and sway and like belly dance. We've got 2 DTs and 2 Zealots, though, coming across in a shuttle. Not gonna come across any of the spider mines. This could be a big surprise here for Firehex. Hexe... no detection. Oh no, we do have missile turrets coming down in the main. However, nothing in the no, we have it behind the natural as well, so the missile turrets are coming down just in time. This shuttle needs to get some damage in there really quick. Marines shooting at the shuttle, dropping out the Zealots, looking for any place to get some damage, but not gonna find it. There's missile turrets and detection everywhere. Hexe gets a little bit of damage here into the mineral line, but not finding kills. And now the SCV's turning on the Darkman themselves. The whole town is fighting. Finds a little tiny gap you can't see behind the mineral line. That's just insulting. Firehex forced to put down another turret here. Repairing the depot just so the DT can't kill it. Very, very cute stuff here from Hexe, as Hexe is working on their own expansion at this point. Just trying to distract, trying to buy time, but even during this, Firehex is macroing fine, is very ahead on workers. Like, this is Firehex's game right now. Eventually realizing that the new turret doesn't spot it either, just puts a spider mine down and gets rid of that stupid DT. There's more out on the map. The mines on the path have been cleared. I'm not sure if it was by brute force or with an observer. We do see an observatory, but I don't see an observer. So it might have been by brute force. And just using a Dark Templar to scout here, basically. Spotting the vultures, taking a swipe at one, so now Firehex is aware that there's a vulture. Not a vulture, a Dark Templar. And just camping it right outside of the choke for the most part. But these 5 zealots, not going to be able to find too much damage, but can get a lot of mines down. It's going to prevent Hexe from taking a third. And Hexe just having their second finish up now, though, and trying to get probes out on it. Very, very, very behind economically. 16 probes down. That's almost the entire supply differential right now is just in workers. So, I do think that Firehex is very pleased with his position at the moment. And Hexe just trying to clear out some of the mines that she knows that Firehex has been laying. Firehex starting to expand the factory count has said, all right, I've got a lot of SCVs. Now the next thing is time for a lot of factories. So we've got 2 machine shops working on Goliath range as well. So just saying, all right, we're getting every machine shop upgrade. Starting on vehicle weapons. And otherwise, we're going to have a lot of mech coming out soon. Just 2 tanks at a time and 3 vultures. Maybe a couple of... maybe a couple of Goliaths here and there, but I think that's just going to be saved for if Hexe threatens carriers. I don't feel like Hexe is an Arbiter player. I don't feel like that's something that Hexe's going to do. Hexe's taking the third now as well. I do like that decision, just once you clear it out. Okay, I missed my first expand timing. We're just going to take the second and try and catch up that way. So yeah, Firehex just really turtling up. Turrets everywhere, Goliaths as well, a bunch of tanks. Really just is completely suspicious of some kind of cheeky move. Thinks that... I feel like Firehex believes that Hexe is all gimmicks and no gameplay. Which is a really insulting thing to think about, but like... the way that Firehex is playing right now is just like... yeah, I'm going to try and protect against every gimmick, because if you're just playing straight, then I think I can win. So I think that Firehex, in like the poker game of Starcraft, believes that the only way that he loses is through missing a carrier transition, missing a drop, maybe missing a recall. But again, I don't feel like that is Hexe's style. We don't even have a Stargate out here, so it's not anything to worry about. We've got Storm being researched, so we could see something like High Templar drops. But again, Firehex is so insulated against drops, I don't think that would do any damage whatsoever. Pretty big army here, tanks and vultures, about a control group of each. And picking off, I think that was a stray SCV moving out, maybe a Vulture. Scanning for the Dark Templar, bringing it down. This is not a big enough army to contest this. Hexe, you've got to be very, very cautious about what you do with this little army. This is a very, very big supply differential in favor of Firehex right now. Bring down the shuttle. I saw a DT in there at least. I'm not sure what else was in it. I think High Templar. No, High Templar were in there. Okay, yeah. And now just going tuk-tuk mode out here after the Dragoons. Plenty of damage though, and those Dragoons just have to run. Trying to split the map a little bit, force the Dragoons into a place where they can't really reinforce. Going to be pressuring onto the third. Hexe has taken a fourth in the top left. It's just gotten started, but that is a option. It is like a advantage for them if it manages to come up. Not even going after the third, just trying to attack the choke here. A lot of siege tanks. That's one good storm. But now the Vulture should be able to move forward, put some pressure on. Trying to leapfrog the tanks forward a little bit slowly. This is a very, very difficult and technical thing to do. Meanwhile, if Hexe had tried to backstab with those Dragoons, not able to do so. The Vulture's running in. Not a whole lot of damage, though. And the tanks are not leapfrogging. They're just holding their position out here, preventing the reinforcement. I would love to see just a minor pivot to try and put pressure onto this third base. But instead, we're going to have Firehex focusing attention on his army at the natural, trying to move out and reinforce here. A swarm of observers from Hexe to try and see everything that's going on here with this army. But unfortunately, doesn't have an army nearly big enough to contest. Trying to move out now, has the Zealots out towards the front, trying to charge down the tanks. But the spread here, the pre-spread is so good, these storms are not getting nearly the damage that they're looking for. However, the DT is forward, getting some nice connections here. The contain is broken, but the push is not. And all of these probes here are going to die. One survivor makes it away. Are they going to be able to bring down the Nexus here as well, I wonder? A lot of mines. Hexe sees them all, though, with the Observer still running a Dark Templar through them, regardless. I believe that the Archon can kill them without triggering the mines. I believe Archons are of hovering type. But still, both these players have traded away so much, but Firehex still has a ton of supply available. Where even is it? A little bit here, a little bit there. We've got a missed rally over here. That's like missed connections for those of you who were born in the 80s. Spotting the workers in transit. Firehex. Ooh. Doing you dirty. Hexe has 50 supply of army and 25 supply of economy. Meanwhile, we've got 70 supply of army here for Firehex and 53 in economy. This is looking very, very comfortable for Firehex. We need some beautiful, some absolutely devastating storms, and that's not going to be one of them. Running into a mine. Oh my lord. Hexe down to their last for the most part, trying to get as much value out of this little skirmishing squad as possible. Meanwhile, Firehex still has army everywhere, still has the dudes over here at the third. Finally going to try and pull those back, maybe even put pressure forward. Running into this choke point, there's mines there, but there's also a DT. Not going to be able to hit on the run. Oh, another good mine connection here, but these tanks are going to die trying to rendezvous. Pivoting over to the northwest base. This is the third base here for Hexe now, and soon to be devastated. These mines really slowing down this rotation from Hexe. However, not all of these tanks are sieging up. This is... Alright. Yeah, this is a very, very well fortified position here for Firehex. That Storm's not doing too much, and these siege tanks should be able to just melt these Dragoons. Dragoons who, by the way, have no upgrades. Hexe, realizing what kind of awful situation they're in, calling GG, and that's going to be another 2-0 as Firehex puts one on the board for the big naturals. So that's 2 on the board now, in fact, for big naturals. Let's go ahead and update the unofficial scorecard. And we're going to move on to what stands to be an epic series. I don't know if it's going to be good. I don't know if it's going to be bad. I don't know if it's going to piss me off. I don't know if it's going to make the veins in my neck bulge out. But I hope it's going to be fun. So, we're gonna have Rennac. Rennac, you know how when you go into a community and you just spot a name that, like, stands out to you? And it's like, oh, alright, yeah, that's someone that just, like, everybody talks about. When I first came to CPL, Rennac was that guy. And I don't know why, it just was. So, that's kind of like my impression of CPL, and like what I think about is like, it's okay, Rennac is famous. Rennac is someone that everybody knows. And you've got mini Rennac, which kind of adds on to the mystique, if you will. So, we're gonna see this, and it's not my first time seeing Rennac play, but I haven't watched much of them, so we're gonna see if it really lives up to the mystique that I've built up for myself. And while we're getting this going, I'm going to try and fix up the scoreboard, because for some reason it doesn't let me do that when we're not on this scene. Okay. So we have Rennac, who is playing Zerg, and we have MaybeNextTime as Terran. And they are 0-0. Alright. So, already, you know, this is something I can talk about because I play Zerg, and I have studied the blade. We have the appropriate worker split and optimization here for Rennac. Like, I could stare at this and be like, oh yeah, he's moving his workers, he's boosting properly too. He is doing that, actually, but that's besides the point. And, over here, we have MaybeNextTime doing things the Terrans do, which I'm assuming is also, you know, optimal, and I'm assuming that they don't need to optimize as hard, except for if you listen to Artosis, who says that, you know, everything you do as Terran has to be perfect, and the game is broken. But, overall, I think this is, like, always really interesting, because around Tier 2 is where I feel like you're really likely to have players be able to hit the mechanical mark for a lot of things that are considered, like, too technical for lower level play, and that includes, like, Mutamicro. So I'm wondering if we're going to see Rennac do, like, the standard 12 hatch opener and try and play mutas. I wonder if we're going to see MaybeNextTime do, like, 2 Racks Academy, or Racks expand into the same idea. Man Shark hoping for a sunken rush. I don't think that's quite the way that this works. But I find that, like, I have watched a lot of low-level Zerg versus Terran, I've watched a decent amount of high-level Zerg versus Terran, and some of the things that people who don't feel comfortable playing mutas do are just out of this world. So in this case, yeah, we are going for a mostly standard thing, actually. That drone delays the gas here, so it's going to be a slightly late layer, which then leads into slightly late Mutalisks. Could honestly just be a build order mistake, could be something that was specifically done on purpose, I don't know. But we do have 2 supply before the expansion, before gas, anything like that. So that usually is indicative of 2 Racks Academy, except for the fact that this is going to be the command center out instead. You kind of think of it based on when your scout arrives, so seeing the command center going down here going to spot the barracks, going to spot the 2 supply depots before gas. So this should definitely be a 2 racks. And we should definitely be seeing maybe next time looking for like a marine move out before the Mutalisk timing, which also is going to be pretty impactful and useful because Rennac's Mutalisks are going to be late, assuming they go for mutas. We could see something like Lurker Tech out of them, but again, I don't know. I'm not too sold on Lurker first. We do have Ling speed coming out. We could see a transition into Mass Ling to try and bust. Closing off the wall a little bit here is maybe next time. It's always fascinating when you think about Terran and their need to wall the choke, because at the same time, they really want to be able to move their Marines out in a ball when it's time for them to move out and when Mutalisks are around. So if you have your wall up and you're just trickling through, then it's really hard to get your Marines through there in a ball. It's almost as bad as your ramp. But if you don't have a wall, then if they just go for a Ling Flood, you can just get burned that way. So a lot of times you'll have the Terran put down a barracks at the wall and then lift it off to move, but then that also means you're not producing out of it. So there's just trade-offs everywhere for Terran. Really, really fascinating stuff if you're as nerdy and into the minutiae as I am. So an extra hatchery there with the Spire. We could be seeing 3 hatch Muta. Not having anything out there on the map to scout, this is actually a blind creep colony here, expecting the Marine move out, not knowing when it's going to happen, and not having any Zerglings to scout. Rennac is just saying, alright, I'm putting down a Sunken because I know I need to put down a Sunken. This is like a rehearsed timing. But there's a 9 Marine move out, there's no medics. So, actually just gonna kind of go ahead and move back. Maybe next time is not willing to commit to this without medics. So, even though 1 Sunken is not a big commitment, it is, you know, lost potential. But we've got 3 hatcheries out there. We've got 6 mutas coming out. And now we're going to get to see how Rennac and maybe next time get to handle muta harass. Maybe next time is scouting for a 3rd base with the SCV. I don't know the, like, details on what you use and why, but I do know that some Terrans like to scout out for the 3rd with Firebats. Some of them like to SCV scout. But in this case, we're going to have the SCV go hunting for a 3rd. There's no 3rd to be found because we're on 3 hatch for Muta. And the turrets are coming down. We already have turrets at the natural. We've got 3 more showing up as well. This is well timed. It's not well covered at the natural, though. There are gaps here and there. But maybe Rennac is not going to try and test that. Instead, moving in towards the main. Spotting a gap here, finding an SCV, manages to target it down, and just zipping away. Up to 7 Mutalisks now. That should be 8 Mutalisks. Let me do my math. Not quite. That should be enough to one-shot a SCV with 8 mutas. I should know these numbers. You need 7 just to do it vanilla. We've got one over here as well. But 8, 9 Mutalisks, that's where things start getting pretty dangerous. And like he's just gonna be going really heavy. We've got a full squadron of Mutalisks coming in. You're gonna have to be very, very careful. At 9, each volley can take out 2 Marines if you control it correctly. Maybe next time trying to move out. He's got to be really careful though. Gets 1 Muta. The rest of them, though, they can find some angles. Good kill on that. Just darting around, finding the angles, looking for some damage here. Rennac is not willing to commit into the natural, though. Relatively risk-averse in a good way. maybe next time, starting to expand the barrack count, also working on the starport. So we'll be moving towards that science vessel. Unfortunately has an SCV that's not working, and we'll never ever notice that. That's going to be idle until the end of the game, I promise you. Checking again for the third, maybe next time. Going to see that Rennac has just locked himself on 2 base, but working on Hive now, has the Evo chamber coming in. That second Evo, this is crazy, Zerg. 2 Evo Zerg. I don't expect to see lurkers. I expect to see this going straight into Ultralisks. Unfortunately, the Muta's hiding behind the minimap again. I don't know how to hide that. Alt-I or G, or Q. Okay. Okay, cool. That's good to know. But just a little bit more damage over here on the minerals. Ultimately, this is, a little bit undersaturated, but not looking too bad overall for maybe next time. The big thing is he just has so much money right now and really needs a way to spend it. He's actually going for 2 starports. Really going to jam out the science vessels here. I'd kind of expect that to be like more for a Valkyrie setup, but no, that is going to be science vessels, doesn't have the armory. And here we go. Rennac going for the Hive special. Ultralisk Cavern, Adrenal Glands, and then both the melee upgrades. Finally takes his third up in the north. Maybe next time, considering moving out, maybe next time has so many minerals, though, really needs to spend. Has been just having a tough time managing all of the pressure. 4 idle barracks here. SK Terran is such a hard style to play. There's so much going on all the time. There's so much that you have to manage, keep track of. You have to scout so much. You have to control your army. You really need to be an octopus. You need to be playing like barracks with scan over his shoulder. Like, it is not easy. And I have so much respect for Terrans that do play bio, because half the time they kick my ass despite it being a really hard style to play. Couple of scans go out. Throws down on the natural. I don't believe that he has seen the double Evo and the Ultra Cavern. We don't have any Ultras in production yet. He's going to be waiting until the armor is at least mostly done. You can go ahead and start producing them any point in time, pretty much. But where are the upgrades for Terran? We have 1-0... working on extra armor, but no extra attack. So if we get the, oh my god, when the +2 armor comes out here for Rennac, this is going to be disgusting. Like, mark my words, these Ultras are going to be completely unkillable by these Marines. Third up here in the top left. Almost complete. Gonna be really, really close to the third here for Rennac. Rennac coming across here with these Lings. The fact that you have so many Lings on the map in Hive Tech should really be an indication that this is definitely crazy, Zerg. So I do feel like maybe next time needs to be a little more diligent with their upgrades. And yeah, as soon as the armor was done, starts up on weapons, has a bunch of medics coming out here as well. Even a fire bat. Okay. Oh, are these Lings going to catch the... No, they're not going to catch them in transit. There's no way, because the SCVs in transit are covered by these Marines. But I think he's going to see that at least. Does Rennac see it? Oh my... Okay, just barely. But who knows if he's actually looking. That's really, really, like... The same way that Soul Key lost the last ASL by not seeing creep, it could be the same way here. Lings running across here, gonna run into a squad of Marines and a medic. Easy pickings for the Lings, though. It's actually a really good pick-off here for Rennac. Firebats do some decent damage, but do get picked off by the Lings. They still manage to clear out this little squad over here, though. MaybeNextTime is just trying to go mine sweeping, basically, where the mines are little groups of like 8 to 12 Lings that Rennac has made. And Rennac now has the Ultras on their way. Big Ultras, big natural Ultras with +2 armor, working on +3. This is something that you are very, very much afraid of here as MaybeNextTime. Setting up the bunker, I kind of want him to try and get some supply depots out in front of, like, everywhere, because those are really good at messing with Ultralisk's pathing. Also, using the medics out in front is really smart. Medics will block Ultralisks because they won't, by default, attack them. But again, I don't know how much of a difference that's going to make here because there's still so many angles, and that's a lot of Ultras coming in here with 5 armor. The Lings running into their doom over here because the Ultras were not ready to tank for them. That's not a great defensive matrix. The Ultras doing a great job at the natural, but struggling to come uphill. However, look at just how beefy they are. They're only taking 2 damage per shot, and they're absolutely mauling every trace of the Marines on both fronts. Moving up the ramp, attacking the natural, crushing the high ground. MaybeNextTime, I've got bad news for you, buddy. You might have to look for next time to take the game because there's still a lot of Ultras and you're having a tough time with them, buddy. That Ultra is clogging up the ramp, though. They're being a little bit silly. Getting some nice damage with the irradiates, but it's not so much. Like, Ultras still have a ton of health. They're very, very beefy boys, but the AI is not doing them any favors at the moment. Trying to get them into the base to do something. You have to kind of manually control them, though, when you have them irradiated, when there's so many buildings, when it's SimCity, when it's just medics. But here come the Lings, and the Lings can break through as long as they can make it around the irradiation. Couple of mutas as well, and MaybeNextTime is willing to finally call it GG. Game 1 going the way of Rennac. Let's go ahead and update the scoreboard and take us back to the other scoreboard and update that, and then keep on moving on, because that was a pretty good game 1. That was a pretty good game 1. I'm happy with that. Especially because it was a Zerg winning, you know? I'm a little bit biased. I'm not so much of a fan of big naturals winning everything. Like, I'm a fan of big naturals, but I'm not a fan of big naturals. You know what I'm saying? I feel like they win a little bit too much. They need someone to take them down to size. Be like, reasonably sized naturals. But, be that as it may. We're gonna go on game 2, MaybeNextTime and Rennac. Everybody likes Big Booba, but I'm just saying that big naturals, that's something special. Just not this team. You know, there's big naturals and there's big naturals. I'm getting banned from Twitch. Alright, let's go on. Game 2, it's Radion. I'm staged. For the last time probably. We've got Rennac in the top left on Radion. And we've got MaybeNextTime in the bottom right, also on Radion. It would be really weird if they were playing on 2 separate maps. So, Rennac going crazy Zerg in that game. I feel like every time I see Rennac play, I see them doing crazy Zerg, at least in ZVT. So, I wonder if we're going to see the same thing again? But ultimately, from MaybeNextTime, I felt like he played okay, but the problem that I see, and I don't play Terran, so I can't really talk about this, he never had the opportunity to really move out. He slipped on his macro at some point, and, like, just started stockpiling a ton of minerals, and never managed to find the opportunity to spend those. So I feel like he was, macroing at a, like, rehearsed rate. where, like, okay, I have 2 bases. I should have 2 starports and 6 barracks. But if you get behind on that, then you're never going to manage to outspend your accumulation. So it's kind of useful sometimes to overproduce production buildings for the sake of being able to catch up if you have screwed up and missed your macro cycles. Especially at, like, lower ranks. Even with these guys that I'm guessing are around, like, D, C tier, somewhere in that range. Like, which, you know, also works really well for big naturals. But, God, I'm getting banned! But, it's a good idea to aspire to being efficient and to doing the right thing, but if you fail to uphold that, then compensating for your inefficiency is not a bad thing to do. Alright, same thing here from Rennac again. We've got 12 hatch, and I think he did the preemptive drone again, if I'm not mistaken. So again, it's just a slight delay on the extractor. It doesn't affect things too much, but it will delay his lair. And, like, we'll actually take a look at the lair timing this game, just to see, because a lair should come in at, like, the 250 to 3 minute mark. And I think this is going to be like a 303, 305 lair, somewhere around there. And if we take a look right now, yeah, the gas is just trickling in. We've got 302. So, slightly late, but again, at this rank, that doesn't matter. Yo, Esk, you know what, man? If you want to interview me about this, we can do this after the stream, alright? That's, We'll have, like, a special podcast. Esk's team breakdown, where he talks about the big naturals and he talks about the build disorders that leads to him talking about big naturals. You know, I would love to see an Esk podcast. I'm being real. I think that would be really fun, and also really demented, which would make it really fun. Alright, so lair almost finishing up. We're gonna have just enough gas for the spire when it is done with the Ling speed. So again, very well rehearsed build order here from Rennac. We have the transfer down to the low ground. This is MaybeNextTime and Rennac both playing very rehearsed. They know their builds, they know how they want to play them, they have practiced this before. Which, really does kind of turn it down into a battle of execution. It turns the Starcraft game into a bit of a ballet dance. And that's what we're going to be seeing here is waiting for the Spire to finish up, trying to get as many drones as you can out. Huh. We only had a couple of... yeah, we did have a podcast here for CPL before. It's actually kind of cool. Dead weight, okay. Isn't he 76 SCVs now, or is that someone else? I thought he changed his name. But anyways, we've got the Marines started to move out, saw there's no Zergling scouting, and then just goes home without even trying to challenge the Sunkens. This time we do get 2 Sunkens instead of just 1. That was Father Bell's 96 SCVs. Okay. Still trying to remember the names of everybody, and just... There's a lot of history I was not party to. But I'm glad that it exists anyways. So a couple of Lings coming across the map here. They're not going to be able to put too much of a challenge onto these Marines. Plenty of Marines for 5 Lings. But that's just going to be making way for the 6 Mutas. And once again, doing 3 hatch Muta I think that's part of the reason why he ends up getting the early drone there and delaying his gas and lair ever so slightly, is to be able to easily handle the 3-hatch muta instead of 2-hatch muta. Like, the difference is not huge overall. I think with 2-hatch muta, you typically have, like, a few more drones, because you're not spending on the 3rd hatchery, all the gas and everything, all the minerals. But you can make up the difference quicker, too. Alright, Queen's Nest going crazy Zerg again, man. He's got the Evo going down, he's setting up the Sunkens and coming out to harass. 8 mutas. We got ourselves a nice supply of turrets at the natural, a nice supply of turrets at the barracks, at the main. Not in covering the ramp, but it's kind of hard to squeeze into the ramp. 8 mutas running through 4 turrets, diving into the main, man. He's got cojones. Loses 1 muta, doesn't really get a whole lot of damage out of that. That was more of a scouting run than it was an actual proper bit of harass. Once again, maybe next time is like, alright buddy, you're not gonna get a secret base out on my watch. But maybe next time is starting to stockpile those minerals a little bit again. We really need to see him start spending, get those barracks down, get those SCVs producing. Just spend, spend, spend like you're Bernie Madoff and the IRS is coming after you. Sorry, you Canadians might not get the reference. Bringing down the scout. But here comes the goon squad. It's a marine squad, but it's a goon squad. It's an enforcer squad of marines. Last game I talked about how I felt like maybe next time really need to move out onto the map to threaten, to pressure. This time he's doing it. He's got 1 more medic than there are Sunkens. That's typically the heuristic that a lot of Terrans use for if they can attack, but now he's got to drive away these mutas, and there's a solid chunk of mutas and not a solid chunk of marines. Bringing down the Overlord. There's still mutas behind, though. If he goes in, this could be really scary. There's mutas on both sides. There's Sunkens at the natural. If I go in, I might die, but he's gonna go in anyways. Full faith and force of the Terran Empire. Unfortunately, having a couple of Marines just get picked off, go into a looser formation. A nice little bit of harass here from Rennac. Could probably, if he was feeling real cheeky, pick off some of the guys here on the edges as well, but might take some extra damage for it. So instead, he's just going to focus on continuing his build, getting the Ultra Cavern, getting another Evo down, and once again, we've got the Hive Tech trifecta. We've got Ultras, we've got Evos, and we're about to have Crackling Tech coming up any second as soon as he gets the money. He's got the money as soon as he gets the brain power. He's got to focus on microing here. He can't afford to throw away these mutas. Picks off a medic. A little bit of a miss micro there. Loses a muta. Rennac at the supply block, really in kind of a critical situation here, actually forgetting his Crackling's tech. Very, very low on drones, in fact. His economy is hurting. But this should be enough to crush the Marines. Still doing a lot of damage to those mutas, though. Unfortunately, he loses every last Marine in that group. What's he got at home? A small contingent. Not as big as he had before, but doing a good job of macroing out here this time. Like, really spending 40 SCVs and basically no minerals floating right now. I do like this version of MaybeNextTime a lot better. He's got the double starport with some drop ships. Are we going to see drops here from MaybeNextTime? Is that what he wanted to do last game and it just didn't work out? This is not crackling tech, mind you. Ooh, nice. Has the awareness, the wherewithal to put the SCV in the bunker. You gotta manually move it. You can't, well, that was at full health, so yeah, you can. We're gonna go ahead and load up the bunker now and get ready to start up on his expansion. He's got the money. 2 dropships full. Moving out onto the map. Splitting his attention good, but maybe next time wants to try and get some damage done. Unfortunately, there's the 9 mutas that are going to be on the way here. Also, a couple of just random lings floating around. Is he going to see this? Yeah, flying right over top of that ling, seeing the 2 dropships. The mutas are right there in the path. I think they can snipe one of these. Oh my god. Maybe next time is not even looking. Oh no, that's almost the worst result he could hope for. That's a lot of supply down the drain. That's about 20 supply gone for maybe next time. So now Rennac is in a much better position. Has a 3rd base. Has his Crazy Zerg set up. However, I haven't seen him get the Adrenal upgrade. I think he just forgot it, didn't have the money for it at one point, and it slipped his mind since. That's a really, really easy thing to have happen. Maybe next time, moving on to the 3rd. There's nothing to do to defend this. They're setting up a Nidus. That is too little too late, my friend. That's just going to get absolutely melted here. That's a waste of money. Scourge trying to hatch, not able to pick off the Science Vessel. That's my experience every time I try and use Scourge. They just get melted. They melt before they can do anything. And the Nidus is down. Alright, taking out one of his own Sunkens, making room for the inevitable Ultralisks that are producing, but Rennac still very low. He's actually killing off his own Queen's Nest. Not all that important, but at the same time, recognizing, alright, I want my Ultras to get through. My Ultras have decided to really derp out in their pathing here. But no. Rennac's economy is not looking very good. 31 drones is way fewer than he should have at this point in the game. That does mean he's got 50 supply in army. However, a lot of that is just kind of spread all over the map. He's got lings every which way. There's not much supply here, but at the same time, it's... I don't know. I feel like it's every little bit helps, but it's not quite as spread out as he was doing last game, where he had those little groups of like 8 to 10 Zerglings in every corner looking for bases. Continuing to just use these couple of Marines to scout for the bases and also take out the extractor here. Also, just giving a little bit of information overload to Rennac. That's one of the things about just having someone continuing to hit like a base that you don't care about anymore, is you keep getting alerts. And that makes it harder to tell if an alert is something you care about. So maybe his response times are going to be a little bit slower because he's been getting all of these alerts. Science Vessel's out now. We could see like an eraser to try and take out some of the lings. But the big thing is here, there's a bunch of mutas still left over from the muta phase, and a bunch of ultras hiding on the left side of the map. This 3rd is a little bit more defensible than the hidden 3rd that MaybeNextTime was trying to take last game. So maybe the defensibility of this and the fact that he can keep everything a little more consolidated is going to make this be a stronger game for him. Additionally, his upgrades are on point. His macro is more on point. He's slipping less. 8 racks, mostly constant production. Couple of irradiates. You don't want to irradiate them when they're this close to your Marines, though. However, the big thing here is that you've got the one extra upgrade. You need to irradiate the mutas. Needs to hit those now. But nice D-matrices as well. Those medics going out in front, preventing the Ultralisks from really getting the surface area that they're looking for, but the Irradiate's doing damage to the medics as well. This is going to be a really, really tight hold, but I think it will be a hold. The mutas all go down, the Marines barely stay alive. And that's a lot of Ultralisk money that Rennac is not going to get back. He has almost no army, his economy is in shambles, and his supply is looking devastated. All we need now is MaybeNextTime to sack up, move across the map, and say, all right, Marines, let's do your duty. It's like, gotta bring out Rico's Riders, Rico's whatever it's, Rico's Roughnecks, that's what it is, Starship Troopers. Marines starting to move out. A fleet of science vessels moving across in Gamma formation. That's right, it looks like the Greek letter Gamma. Only backwards. They're gonna spot everything here, setting up the Irradiate on the Ultra. Hit a couple of Overlords too, why not? Who's it gonna hurt? It's gonna hurt the Zerg, that's who. Ultra's back up to 5 armor. Ooh! Unfortunately, those Scourge only finding 1 vessel. That's a lot of overkill. Marines going to find the expansion here that Rennac was looking to take. Rennac still short of drones, but basically out of money as well. He's spending everything that he's got and has nothing left. Meanwhile, MaybeNextTime has so much in the bank again. Like, plenty available to spend. He's queuing up his barracks. He can afford to take an extra base if he wants to. He can afford to take a base and throw it, stack it up with barracks and pretend he's a Protoss player. Heck, he can afford to go battle cruisers if he wants to. Wait, we had a covert ops built here? Who does he think he is, Barisu? Why'd you have a covert ops being built? Alright, Marines running headlong into Ultras. That's never a good trade for the Marines. But now has a little bit bigger of a squad. Also has the Irradiate. The Irradiate here is a trap. It's on top of your Marines. You're gonna lose them all. All the Marines go down, but every single Ultra here is irradiated. More Ultras pushing into the natural. Stimming up, backing up, trying to make as good of a choke point as possible. These Ultras are still going to get some serious damage done. Like, MaybeNextTime is actually, despite the fact that he had such an overwhelming advantage, he has such a crazy supply advantage as well. So much of that is just in science vessels, which, while they have so much utility, they don't help you in a straight-up fight against Ultras. Like, sure, you can use D-Matrix, but overall, it really just does come down to a stat check. Even more vessels coming out, man. He is not relenting on the vessel count at all. I mean, we're going to have an entire control group of vessels in just a moment. There's so many Irradiates available. Now we just need to have the Marine count to back it up. I really actually would like to see MaybeNextTime pivot to going battlecruiser, and he's got the physics lab now too, so he can do that. I just want to know why he had the covert ops. Like, it's a cheeky idea, but sir, you're not doing anything with it. All right, Rennac moving out to a 4th base now. Main and natural mostly mined out. Terran's main is about to mine out. Natural is running low as well. So we're going to need to see Terran moving on to a 4th base soon. Probably the one at the bottom at 6 o'clock. MaybeNextTime not showing a lot of confidence in his army movements here. Just doing 8 units, 10 units, 12 units, but not really going full-fledged and taking multiple control groups and moving across the map at the same time. And once again, the Ultralisks are ahead on upgrades. They're completely upgraded now. 3-3 with the additional 2 armor from their upgrade. So we're going to need to see the last upgrade coming out here for maybe next time, but he does have that, and the battlecruisers are coming. This could be the opportunity. He just needs to make sure that he can hold this push, especially because of the fact that the main and the natural are almost mined out. The Ultra's moving in towards the mineral line with the Irradiate on them. That's going to do so much AoE damage. Taking out the bunkers, these Marines very, very slow to respond. Irradiates across the board. Those do good damage, but they won't kill an Ultra on their own, and they will kill an SCV. These Lings will kill the Marines. But so far, pretty good, but here we go. 3 battle cruisers on the field. If you need a way of punching through Ultralisk armor, this is a good opportunity. But Rennac is not mining at all anymore. Needs to get this base back, needs to get another base on the board. I'm sorry, not Rennac, MaybeNextTime. MaybeNextTime is not mining at all. So this is like do or die for MaybeNextTime. He needs to get back to this base. Meanwhile, Rennac is just funneling everything across the map. Lings all over the place. Taking his drones, going to move them to new base, but I don't know if he's got anything to deal with these battle cruisers. Need to go to like Hydra, Devourer, Defiler kind of thing for that. Devourers aren't that important, but they can be useful as like micro support, but Scourge don't do anything against battle cruisers. They just get picked off immediately. And oh no, I think that's what he's going for, which is not going to do him a lot of good. The Scourge not connecting there either. They're very, very finicky units to control. These are completely untouched battle cruisers. I think Esk was right about Zerg being dead. I think he was wrong about the timing of the Zerg being dead. MaybeNextTime. Now all in mining on the 3rd. That's the only mining base. Floating over to the base at 6 o'clock again. Going to take a couple of units to try and clear that out so he can take it. So we'll have 2 mining bases again. A concentration of Scourge does manage to bring down 2 of the battle cruisers, but there's more where that came from. Some spore colonies here as well, just trying to defend the area. That's actually going to be enough to bring down the battle cruiser. Not paying close enough attention. Rennac is still in this. He has basically no supply, and somehow he is still holding on. All we need is a concentrated attack from MaybeNextTime, but so much of his supply is in these science vessels, which just don't do him any good for attacking. But he's controlling all the quadrants of the map. He's continuing to secure his own expansions, just very, very, very patient here from MaybeNextTime. And it will work to bleed out Rennac. It's just not a decisive win in doing so. And Rennac really needs to find a way of clearing out some of the Marines in like the corner base here, finding the additional bases that he can take and just expand, expand, expand to get that supply up. He's finally going to see them here. I don't know if he'll go up the ramp as well to spot that. Here's some more battle cruisers though. Rennac doesn't have the gas to make more Scourge. He's working on Plague for Defilers. Rennac is really short of gas, has 2 depleted geysers, and otherwise 2 mining as well. Just everything he needs right now is gas heavy. MaybeNextTime does not have the energy for Yamato. This time, though, not focusing on anything in particular. So, able to at least pick off some of the Scourge as they're coming in. But again, Scourge are not the best tool against battlecruisers, in my opinion. Maybe next time is not even producing anything right now. He's just completely focusing on micro. I think he's probably just kind of overwhelmed at this point in the game. Nice ultras coming across the map. Maybe next time we'll be able to push them away. But did some damage to the worker count for maybe next time. Maybe next time still just constantly producing SCVs, the same thing that we're taught to do from day one. Somehow Rennac is holding on. And I don't even see him as holding on, really. I think this is just like pure stubbornness. I think he's out of this game. Yamato on a geyser. It's hilarious how actually effective that is right now, because of how gas-starved Rennac is. And yeah, he rebuilds the geyser, has the awareness for this, because, like, that is possibly the most important thing for him right now, is just getting gas income. Maybe next time, continuing to turtle 2,000 gas. Marines for days. Everywhere you look, it's just marine, marine, marine. He can go anywhere he wants to, but continually afraid of just the swarms of lings that are heading across the map. These fire bats are putting in work. The lings going ahead of the ultras. The ultra can't even tank. And down goes the ultralisk. Not able to get any serious damage off of that push. This is more and more money that Rennac is spending and not seeing a return for. His supplies not going anywhere. Maybe next time finally starting to move onto the map. Is this going to be his victory march? Is this going to force Rennac to concede? Very cautious dematrices on the Marines, pulling the Marines back to keep the ball up. Very, very disciplined move out from Maybe Next Time. Trying to make it up the ramp this time, probably the hardest place to go, but there's no lurkers. There's nothing to really punish him for going up the ramp. Rennac not having anything to reinforce with, not having anything to do anything with here, really. Just continuing to make more Zerglings and more Ultralisks as money and larva are available. The Ultralisk, I think, actually was in one of those eggs that just got poached. No, came out here. Lings back for support. This Ultra probably not going to last very long in the face of the concentrated Marine fire. A lot of lings in here, still gonna get some serious damage. But the defensive push from Rennac is still stifled. The supply for Maybe Next Time continues to go up. And I think we're gonna see a tap out very soon, at long last. Don't have the energy for the Dark Swarm, gonna consume, maybe? There it is. Consuming, possibly trying to Dark Swarm to get the lings in there to deal some damage. Not gonna set the Dark Swarm though, trying to move the Defiler around, figure out what he wants to do with it. Is he gonna Plague? Oh, what a split though, pre-split, only getting one Battlecruiser with the Plague. Irradiate on the Defiler, running out of time. Down goes the Defiler, there's no lings left here. Pivoting around to one of the remaining mining bases for Rennac. We're actually going to find two for the price of one here. Taking out the natural, possibly going to look up the hill, and GG is called. Rennac finally taps out after a grueling game, and Maybe Next Time putting in the effort. Let's go ahead and mark that. We've got ourselves a real game, ladies and gentlemen. We've got ourselves a first 1-1. I know I'm excited. I hope you're excited too. But there's still one more. This is going to be the last one of the night. And I hope it doesn't go crazy, crazy, crazy long, because my voice is getting tired. I'm up past my bedtime already. What time is it? It's 10:19. I gotta work in the morning. I'm an old man. I know I don't look like it. I look like I'm like 12 years old or something like that. But at the same time, I do have a job. That's how I'm able to do this. That's how I'm able to get this kind of microphone. So, let's go ahead, close it out. Game 3 on Polestar. We've got Rennac versus Maybe Next Time. Let's go. Polestar it is. We got 1-1. Take it away, Staged. All right, thank you, Stage, for the handoff. We have ourselves one more game. We've had a couple of brutal matchups between Maybe Next Time and Rennac. We've had big naturals and build disorders really taking it at each other, and I think this is going to be no exception. They're going to just give it everything they got until one of them is on the canvas and the other is standing bloody but victorious. In the red corner, we have Maybe Next Time. In the blue corner, we have Rennac. And I'm pretty sure I'm making the voice of the soldier from Team Fortress 2, you maggot. God. I don't know what is wrong with me. All right. So, both games we've had a barracks expand out of Maybe Next Time off of 2 depots, and we have had a 12 hatch with a delayed gas from Rennac. So I want to see if we get any deviation here. Polestar as a map, the big thing that is a notable feature is that the third is kind of rough to take. It's like really weird to position in and out of. Let me see if I can find the diplomacy menu and demonstrate it real quick. So I mean, I know that most of you are already familiar with the map and everything here, but this ramp is really annoying to reinforce, and this area is really easy to kind of push into and pressure this ramp. So defending this third really stinks. So a lot of times you'll have players, if they're going to be taking 3 bases, they'll take theirs here and then they'll go for another corner base. But be that as it may, we've got same idea again, the delayed gas 12 hatch out of Rennac, and we've got the Rax second depot, and then we'll be seeing the expand in just a moment here for Maybe Next Time. Let's go ahead and turn off the extra map. So first scout here for Rennac. Maybe Next Time also getting first scout. There's the CC. Should be seeing a bunker coming down here to secure the natural. And we'll probably see a handful of lings here for Rennac. Not too many. He's been playing relatively balanced most of these games. Although it looks like he's actually only going 2 lings here. He might even be skipping ling speed. We're gonna have to see. If he's skipping ling speed, then that means he's really trying to like cut some corners here because he doesn't feel like he's getting value out of the lings. There's also an immediate creep colony coming out here. He's scouted. He didn't see a gas, but I think he's banking on mech. This is a really, really weird opener here from Rennac. Like, that creep colony is what you would do against mech. He is going for ling speed, but it's delayed. And he's really not going for, like, he only did 1 larva worth of lings, which is not bad. It's completely fine. But it means that he's not going to have any pressure, and, like, the ling speed isn't going to get a lot of value. He's just going to be using it basically to scout here. So this is a very greedy opener out of Rennac. And this is exactly what we have seen every game so far from Maybe Next Time. 2 Rax Academy off of 2 base. Has the 3 Marine bunker. I think we're going to see a move out at 8 or 9 Marines. Just move slightly onto the map and then back home. He's actually going to go ahead and take out that Ling right away. I like that. Perhaps threatening to go onto the map? That sunken was very, very early. Like, that's actually cost Rennac a lot of time and a lot of money. Because he could have had that drone that went into making that be working the entire time and then put the sunken up later. But, you know, no sense crying over lost minerals and dead drones. So we've got ourselves 8 Marines now for maybe next time. Is he going to make the move out and try and actually push the base? Are we going to see maybe... all right, now he's going for stim now. We don't have the medics coming out just yet, so this is not going to be a move out. I always love it when you get like the 8 Marine 2 medic move out, and the stim should be kind of timed to hit right as they arrive. But that doesn't seem to be maybe next time style. And even though every time I'm like, maybe he'll do it next time, he's just like, nah, maybe next time. So, just going mass marine, setting up the missile turrets, because the mutalisks are coming. This time we actually are just doing the 2-hatch variant, and Rennac is trying to sneak a 3rd base into the top right. It is going to be spotted here by MaybeNextTime. MaybeNextTime seeing this, and is going to know where to move his Marines when he tries to move out onto the map. This is a really dangerous spot for Zerg, and this is a big reason why a lot of times when you finish with your mutas, you want to go immediately for like your Hydra Den and going lurkers, because you want to be able to defend your 3rd with a minimum of investment. But in this case, we don't see the Hydra Den coming down. We're probably just going to see the same thing as before, where we go into Queen's and Crazy Zerg, or Queen's Nest and Crazy Zerg. But right now it is just kind of a little bit heavier on the mutas, spending all the larvae on those. Those Marines getting picked off in an awkward formation, diving into the bunker. Maybe Rennac looking to see what damage he can get out of this. That's actually really nice damage onto the turret. Gonna be right over the production. Unfortunately, diving into the mineral line is not the play here. Those missile turrets doing a lot of damage. Bring down 1 more muta. Has 7 mutas, but 2 of them are critically damaged. 8 mutas now. It is a very good number, but you're still running into the problem of you have 2 extremely, extremely low mutas. And, this Terran has not shown really any signs of weakness outside of the single turret that was at production. Rennac really needs to micro this heavily to try and get some damage out here. Going in through the turrets again, loses 1. Going to have one of the reinforcing units get picked off. You can't have that happen, unfortunately. Mutas are very low. And now, MaybeNextTime knows there's a soft target. Is going to be making a move for the 3rd base. Couple of stragglers get picked off here. Tried to gun down the mutas, didn't have enough firepower before. Now we have a big, long snake of Marines. This could be really bad for MaybeNextTime. Needs to get them all clumped up. 11 mutas, an entire control group of mutas. 2 of them go down, but they're still striking at the Marines pretty heavily. Continuing to try and move across the map. Not willing to back down for anything. Both players having their macros slip a little bit. However, it's harder, much harder for MaybeNextTime to keep up with it, just because he has more buildings to produce from. Gonna lose all of these Marines, I think. No! Rennac backing off with the mutas again, instead waiting for the supply, the reinforcement of the Lings to come in. Those Marines gonna die, but not before taking down a couple of Lings at least. All right. Rebuilding the Marines. Getting the starports down. Once again, going to starport, MaybeNextTime. So we'll be seeing some heavy science vessel play out of him. And what do we have for Rennac? Rennac is actually going for Mutalisk art, like air armor. That's interesting. So he is staying on Lair Tech for now, but doesn't even have a Hydra Den. He's just going straight Mutiling. I feel like once the Science Vessels come out, that's going to be really, really hard to play for Rennac. Like, I do think you need to have the Lurkers, you need to have something else at that point. But getting some serious damage here might actually snipe out an entire barracks. You can keep going, Rennac. You can keep going. There's nothing stopping you. One entire barracks going to die from the mutas. Ooh, diving really deep here. Loses a muta, but sniping out the Marine, or the SCV that's on the Science Facility, that's a big deal. Now sitting at the top of the ramp, this is really hard to get your Marines across efficiently, but going after the buildings instead of the Marines, now getting the cross-section of the Marines. A lot of damage going on to these mutas. Rennac having a really rough time with the control and the escape. But does manage to get away, does manage to reinforce with more Mutalisks, and now has a squad of Zerglings as well waiting for him. Irradiate is researching. Terran Ground Armor is researching. Once that Irradiate comes out, once we get the Science Vessels on the map, this is going to look really good for MaybeNextTime. But until then, this is still a lot of control that Rennac is bringing to the table. The Fire Bats, though, clearing out these Lings so quickly. But there's still a handful. Oh, hitting wrong buttons. All of the Mutalisks going to go down. I thought that maybe Rennac would be able to clean up with the Mutas. However, these Marines are too strong. The Mutalisks not in enough count and not able to micro around efficiently enough. That is absolutely devastating for Rennac. The saving grace, though, is he has a very large bank. Has very large bank in his large naturals. So anyways, plenty of opportunity to spend, but he needs to get some hatcheries down. Right now, he's only on 3 hatch, just getting the Hydra Den now, and trying to expand his hatchery count, but this is like too little too late. I think that this third is going to be really hard to keep. Trying to get Sunkens down, having 2 already in progress, 1 creep colony coming down as well. But this is where the Hydra Den's coming in, that's where the Lurker Tech is. If MaybeNextTime manages to break this, that's going to be absolutely huge. However, this is not a big army. Not a big army by any means. That's not a lot of Marines. And this is a solid handful of mutas that are here to support it as well. I think Rennac can hold this. I do like the repositioning, the re-angle that MaybeNextTime is trying to do to prevent himself from being caught by too many of the sunken colonies, as well as going in here for the drones. But it's not going to bring down the expansion, and that's what he really needs right now. Both of them, again, floating a lot of money. MaybeNextTime is starting up the production train one more time. Taking a third in the bottom right corner. Takes a long time for the mutas to bring down medics. That's not the one. There we go, that. Yeah, mutas are not very good at bringing down medics just due to the natural armor that medics have and the fact that they can heal as well. Like, medics are really tanky. They suck to kill. And they're the lowest priority target on, like, the priority table. Alright, Rennac had a miss-rally here with his muta rally. Has some drones just chilling there. That's unfortunate. So really, he's only at, like, 36 drones instead of 39. But he's got Lurker Tech now, so we are going to be seeing a little bit more standard play moving into Hive Tech as well. And I think that Hive Tech is where Rennac feels most comfortable. We have not seen him really play with Lurkers. I don't think that he feels great about playing Lurkers, but when he's in Hive Tech, I think he feels really strong. 2 Science Vessels for MaybeNextTime. Has plenty of energy for Irradiates. Instead, just going to try and go in with a couple of D-Matrices. Use that to push forward. Going to see that there's a pretty decent garrison there. Spotted the lurker spines especially. I think he could go in and take it anyways. I don't think he needs to be afraid. I think that this fear is actually almost throwing the game. If MaybeNextTime were to go in right now, properly control everything, and keep the science vessels there to spot, I think he could take that, kill the lurkers, kill the lings, kill the sunkens, and then finish the game right now. But because he's being patient, he's giving Rennac time to build, he's giving Rennac time to get the Nidus up, to get the Defiler Den up, to yet possibly have a chance of coming back into this game. So now we've got excuse me, Irradiate on one of the 3 stacked lurkers. But such a slow way of killing them. Like, it takes a very, very long time. And it is burning through the energy that you've got. Now, granted, it's 75 energy for Irradiate. It's not a lot. But it gives Rennac even more time. That's all he's trying to do, is just buy time. Ooh. Nice pick off there with the Scourge. Science Vessel's going forward a little bit too far. MaybeNextTime not paying enough attention. But just continuing to make more and more lurkers. This is all you have to do. Just have more lurkers in production than the opponent has science vessels. Like, every single time you're making science vessel, or you're making lurkers, that's all you need to do. So some more Scourge. Rennac is supply blocked. Rennac's also completely hemmed in here, and I do like what MaybeNextTime is doing, where he's just expand, expand, expand. He's going to take the entire south side of the map. But this is kind of what he ended up doing game 1. And even though... Or was that game 2 that he did that? I'm trying to remember now. It's all blurring together a little bit. It might have been game 2 that he did that, where it was just very, very slow played, and ended up working out for him, though. Right, because game 1 was the one that Rennac went crazy Zerg and just managed to crush everything when MaybeNextTime was on 3 bases. The game after, MaybeNextTime went out to 4 because he was playing rather tight. And, alright. Dark Swarm over here, gonna advance the lurkers. A little bit of a miscontrol, unfortunately. Dark Swarm is really awkward with where it ends up targeting. But getting almost all of those Marines... Unfortunately, the Defiler is hit by Irradiate. Going to die no matter what. And no Hydras or Scourge to cover that. The other Defiler also getting irradiated. And even one of the lurkers here for good measure. So despite the fact that Rennac is going to get this extra base here, MaybeNextTime is going to make it as painful as possible. Still a lot of guys over here. I could see Rennac doing the same trick with Dark Swarm into a Defiler or a lurker advance. But it all comes down to how much he can split his attention and how many Defilers he's got and how much gas he has. Right now, Rennac is very gas-starved, but his production tab is insane. He has 5 Defilers, 4 Ultralisks. He's getting every upgrade under the sun. Like, Rennac's actually kind of ready to explode here. The only problem is his upgrades look dismal. He put through all of his early upgrades into the Mutalisks, and now he's quite far behind the Marines. So those Ultralisks are still going to get shredded by Marines because they don't have enough armor to deal with it. And you've still got to worry about Irradiate, which is never not a problem. But Dark Swarm, moving forward under it. He doesn't have the lurkers moving yet, though. Ultra's running under Dark Swarm. But just slowly pulling back. There we go. The lurkers advancing. They're going to burrow under Dark Swarm. That's one of the scariest things in StarCraft is lurkers that are burrowed under Dark Swarm. But they're not burrowing. The Ultra is doing his little happy dance. Happy because he can't be hit. Sad because he can't hit anything. That's because MaybeNextTime is focusing over here instead. Misclicks, unfortunately, with the Irradiate. Has to be careful. The Scourge getting a free science vessel. And missing the Irradiate on the Defiler over here. Pretty sad, unfortunately. Alright. Ultra here still just losing his mind. Okay, maybe that's less of a happy dance. That's one for the GIF archives. Trying to poke in on this base. Rennac is low on lurkers now, only has one lurker. Plagued this up. That's going to drain all of the medic energy, which is really, really, really nice for Rennac. But the problem is you still need something to deal with this. Now, typically, if you're going Plague, you end up going like Hydra, Lurker, Defiler, because Plague is just so stupid and lets your Hydras chip away at anything and hit them once. This composition that he's got here is much more suited to going like heavier Dark Swarm. But Hydra, Lurker, Defiler is probably one of the best late-game compositions in the game. And it's a pretty good way of dealing with SK Terran as well, but you have to be comfortable with it, and it's very, very technical to play. Just plaguing out the vessel again, but the Defiler getting irradiated himself. Yeah, this is really hard for Rennac to find any momentum, and even though MaybeNextTime is not getting any additional purchase, he kind of doesn't need to. He has an entire side of expansions that he's taken himself. He has a really big bank. He's maxed out on supply. And he's just researching literally everything in the game, is switching over to mech at this point. 8 barracks. 3 starports, and yeah, we've got a full mech switch happening on this side of the map. So we've got 5 factories with 3 machine shops. So this is really just, okay, MaybeNextTime is going very high-tech with this one. Nice Dark Swarm to stop the damage from the battle cruisers. He could, however, go after the hatchery or the extractor, because Dark Swarm does not stop damage onto buildings, only onto units. And yeah, Rennac is being extremely vigilant about keeping the Dark Swarm up there to keep his mineral line protected. Meanwhile, over here, MaybeNextTime pushing into the third yeah, this is the third base. You'll notice that Rennac never took the third that was near to his main for that reason that I mentioned. It's just really hard to get in there and reinforce it and hold it. It's very easy to attack. Alright, Ling's coming in here, but there's a lot of Fire Bats. Fire Bats do pretty decently under Dark Swarm even. But the Ling's going to be able to put a chip onto the Marines at least. Here come more Lings as well, hatching out. But those Fire Bats are doing some work here. A couple of them getting under the Dark Swarm, but for the most part being picked off. Fire Bats having a hard time reaching the Lings, but there we go, finally getting some damage here. A Plague out. Overall, just really trading here, but the big thing is that MaybeNextTime managed to take down the base and is still mostly maxed out on supply. But, Rennac has 5 Ultras in production. I don't know if that's going to be enough, really, though. He just needs to get, like, 1 million hatcheries and start just cranking out Zerglings, because that's what he's got the money for right now. He's got 1 million minerals, he's got no gas. The Lings continuing to chip away at this army out the natural. Ooh, I like that D-Matrix. Not going to last too long against Cracklings, but it does allow them to, allow that Fire Bat to mostly clean up here. Just taking, again, a small contingency to move out here, maintaining this pseudo-contain. Maybe next time does have the energy. He could take out one of these lurkers, but now this is giving Rennac the opportunity of moving out onto the map with just a squad of lings. And that's just going to be what he's doing all game, is just, again, trying to throw lings every which way and get some free damage. He might find it here. Nah, he's not going to find too much damage. Maybe? Okay, yeah, cracklings are nothing to sneeze at. Cracklings are nothing to sneeze at. That's an entire base gone. 4 lings, get in and say goodbye to your base. And holy smoke, is Rennac gonna actually do it? Is Rennac actually doing this? MaybeNextTime is not responding at all. He's not looking at his bases. What is MaybeNextTime doing? He's trying to move out. Oh no, he has a medic blocking the ramp. He's trying to move out with his mech. Meanwhile, these Marines are just getting absolutely shredded. Oh my god, Rennac could actually take this. The lings now breaking the contain. Not going to kill off the entire army, but stopping that from coming down to reinforce. The entire Bioforce is going to get hammered here. Mech Ball is moving out, but they don't have upgrades. I think MaybeNextTime might have just gotten absolutely, like, swindled. This is a fantastic attack from Rennac. And even though he's so far behind in supply, Zerglings are good units. Rennac trying to break out over here. Probably one of the hardest places to break out of, though, because of the fire bats. However, the fire bats are now dead. Going to break out of the contain at the top. Is also now very aware of the tech switch and has taken out all of the barracks here for MaybeNextTime. In fact, he might get the rest of this. Are you kidding me? No. There's no way that a couple of Ultralisks and a couple of Zerglings managed to take out this entire force. Not even with high ground advantage. Okay. I was going to say, I was going to be extremely offended if that actually worked. But still, Rennac has almost equalized... Rennac has equalized the supply. Let's be real at this point. He has 16 drones and he has equalized the supply. This game is nuts. Moving on now to the base at the bottom, the 6 o'clock base. These lings going to run in, absolutely shred the mech. There's nothing left for MaybeNextTime. This mech switch was a disaster. This mech switch was an absolute disaster. Rennac is getting everything he wants out of this game. There's nothing left at the main. It was mined out anyways, but all of that tech, all of that production is gone. There's only the factories over here at the bottom right base. MaybeNextTime is in such incredibly dire straits. It's not like mech is easy to play against Zerg either. Can get very, very technical, and he doesn't have the production. He doesn't have the upgrades. He doesn't have the workers. Rennac just taking advantage of Zerglings, just running them all across the map all the time. Not even bothering to really control them, just, okay, we're just going to make a conga line of Zerglings every couple of seconds. Spider Mine's not able to get any connections onto the lings. They can kill them fast enough. Ooh, 2 lings die at least, but that's 1 supply worth. Lings cramming in, trying to get the CC, trying to get anything. Tank's doing a good job at least, but they're starting to chip away at the eggs just with the splash damage. Once that happens, it will make it easier for the lings to get in. However, it hasn't happened yet. There's no bio production available. This is the last bio on the map here, pretty much. Couple of Marines over here. Random battle cruiser that's been putting up some work. been a big part of what's been keeping Rennac's supply low. Rennac's almost out of money. That was the most efficient plague since plaguing Archons. Had 9 health and get an additional 8 out of a plague on it. Still, Rennac is just trying to make a string of Lings work because that's all he's got. He has literally nothing left. He's completely out of money. 15 workers. He only has a couple on this base. Where are the rest at? Gas? He's made a couple over here. He has idle workers here. Yeah, he only has 3 mineral workers mining. And there's workers all over the place that are doing nothing, but there's 3 mineral workers mining this late in the game. Basically no income. This is just, can his units do it? He is out of everything else. MaybeNextTime still has a huge bank. He doesn't have the upgrades. He doesn't have, like, any bio, but he does have a lot of factories. He's got a lot of money. I was giving praises, I was singing praises to the Zerg, but this now might actually be MaybeNextTime's game to win. So many drones all over the place that are just not doing anything. We've got 4 mineral mining drones, 5 mineral mining drones. Oh my lord, the economy is in shambles. And look at this over here. A solid base worth of SCVs mining. MaybeNextTime is supply blocked. I think he had a depot burned down. Oh, there. Okay, there was one Ling that was killing off depots over in that corner. Vultures coming across the map here. Just gonna lay a couple of mines. Maybe look and see if they can poke in for any damage. This is such a bizarre game. A hard mech switch that's mandatory now because you've got no other production buildings. Mines all over the place against cracklings. Cracklings are really good against mines most of the time. The only way this can get any better is if we get an infested command center. Like, please, Rennac, rebuild a queen's nest, make a queen, infest a CC. That will make my life. I will be very happy with that. Ling's trying to just drag as many mines as possible, see what's out there. I promise you, Mulder, the truth is out there. Okay, all of these Sunkens are up here, though. We're gonna see, trying to sneak a base here for Rennac, but he has no money. You can't sneak a base when you don't have money. You have to have money to make a base. And they're gonna get picked off by the vultures that just ran in here. Still plenty of idle drones here from Rennac. He's not looking at this stuff at all. But he is starting to mine again. Like, they're getting back up to respectable worker counts. But the problem is that Rennac just doesn't have any minerals. And, like, he has so many idle drones. If he had all of those mining, then he would be looking pretty decent. But as it is right now, he's at an economy that's 2 minutes into the game. And he's at a base that's mostly mined out, like 14, okay, he's finally found the drones over here. Is he gonna try and expand again? Is he gonna try and take the, high ground over here on the left side? Might. MaybeNextTime. Science vessels moving across the map, gonna be looking for irradiates. Probably find it on the Defiler. Rennac has so little military, has so little value in his army. Just... even an eraser would be deadly right now. Plague on the vessels. They're just gonna fly into the spores as well, but okay. Does get the Defiler with an irradiate. That's gonna be a dead filer. Couple of vultures finding the drones that were looking to maybe do some like long distance mining or set up a base. The drones trying to fight back. I mean, they have upgrades, the vultures don't. This is almost kind of a fair fight. But the vultures are still better units in this circumstance. With the Lings, though, they do manage to fight it off. More vultures coming in. Needs to control them. A couple of misses. And now here comes a little bit more of an army. They're going to try and bust this base. Already had a bunch of worker kills, at least, on Rennac. Also trying to bust this base. If MaybeNextTime brings this down, then this game is over. I think this game has already been over. And yeah, Rennac calls GG. So 2-1 in favor of MaybeNextTime. What a game. What a series. I'm glad that Build Disorders managed to put one on the board, managed to not go completely swept in these 3 games. I didn't take a look at how the overall series went, but man, that was crazy. Rennac with that crazy backstab with the Lings and Ultras, taking out all of the barracks. Wow. All right, everybody. That's going to be it for me. I feel like I've aged 5 years in the span of this game. So, thank you, anyone who's been sitting with me the entire time. Any VOD watchers out there. Thank you, anyone who clicked out in the first 2 minutes because you realized, oh, this guy's insane. And, I want to thank Bob Dole for making Dole Bananas. Alright, everyone. Have a good night.